Okay. So today we're going to be watching a show that was done by the BBC in 1990. It's called Heil, Honey, I'm Home. And to understand that a little bit, it's about Hitler, right? And it's a high concept comedy. Do you want to explain what
it's a sitcom based on if Hitler lived next door. But I think it takes Hogan's Heroes and the producers to an even further height, and it lasted one episode. People were calling up during the show and saying, take this off the air.
The formula of it is actually after The Honeymooners.
Right.
Which is...
The Wacky Neighbors.
If you've never seen The Honeymooners, it's basically the Flintstones. So the Flintstones...
And if you've never seen the Flintstones...
then it's... what would be
I Love Lucy.
Is I Love Lucy Honeymooners, do you think?
Well, not exactly, because they're angrier, but it's the couple, the main couple, and then the Wacky Neighbors.
All right, so that's it. And so basically what this was is that they took a very good formula called the Honeymooners formula, which had many successful shows. Then they took the idea of high concept, which like Green Acres, Gilligan's Island, these sort of like wacky things that don't actually exist. So right, let's do one of those things. And then they
Something
said
you can describe in one sentence.
Right.
Six idiots stranded on an island, or Green Acres where there's one reasonable man and everyone else in town subscribes to this alternate reality.
And ever since Mel Brooks' Producers was created, people said, "Oh well, Hitler can be funny, so let's just do that." And on the BBC in the 80s, they had Allo, which was a very successful comedy that went about the Nazis.
But that was more insightful. This is sitcom-y.
Right, but I can imagine in a pitch room, somebody's saying like, oh, we're going to have all of these elements put together, it's going to be great, because all of these things individually are funny. But I think this is a great example of having a hat, is that you can't just sort of take all the funny things and put it in a bag, shake it up, and then have a super funny thing. That's not how comedy works. So I've heard stories that there are somewhere between 9, 12, and 16 episodes of this show that have been shown. In the interviews with the guy who played Hitler, he claims there's 16. In the producers, they claim there's 12, and the BBC claims there's 9, which makes me think that 16 were shot, 12 were finished, and 9 were delivered. So but somebody has it.
No one's ever seen anything but this one episode.
It's kind of interesting. And so, like in the talent reel for the guy that played Hitler, he has about 2 minutes of unshown episodes from it. And in some other types of sort of clip shows, they have the other things. And so they're in other people's hands. Like it's not like this doesn't exist. But
it's like that Jerry Lewis movie, The Day the Clown Died. No one's ever seen it.
Oh, come on. It's probably more rare than the Todd Haynes movie Superstar, right?
Oh, right.
Which this guy in the 80s he made something based on Count Carpenter, who died of anorexia.
Did he make it with Barbie dolls?
Right.
Yeah.
So he made it with Barbie dolls. Was really ticked off Mattel. And then he also put a bunch of the Carpenter songs in and didn't ask them, which really ticked off the Carpenters. And so it wasn't that the movie was so great and scandalous, it's that he didn't license anything. And so you can't show this thing because you didn't pay the fees.
Which makes it more enticing, which makes it more available.
But you can go on YouTube and you can find VHS rips of it. Have you ever seen the movie?
I've seen parts of it.
Yeah. It's actually watchable. Yeah. And so, it's
like this.
Well, it's done with Barbie dolls, which is effectively puppets. And so, it's as watchable as a puppet movie would be. I think it's okay. And so, anyway, on with the show. This is done in 1990. There's only one episode of it shown. We haven't seen it yet. So, hopefully, if the technology will go well, we can play this. It says it can't be played in the background. Oh, dear Lord.
What happened now?
Oh, dear Lord. We were trying... it says it can't be played.
I thought you just put it in pause.
I thought so, too. Hold on. The screen went back on me. Our pacing was so good, it was so amazing, and now it has stopped.
You cut all this out in post.
I can't! This is live! There's no way I can do this thing. There's a technical glitch right now. I feel like Joe Biden trying to to do his first sort of YouTube thing, and it took him like a couple weeks to figure. Oh my goodness, what is going on here? Okay, so let me just, every time I go back there, it says, I'm sorry, we can't play this in the background. It's like, yeah, I know you can't. So I'm putting it in the foreground now. And then I go back to this part and I do separate TV. Okay, let's try it now. It's gonna go? Ah, okay.
Success.
All right, success. There. I'm gonna make sure that this thing actually started. And now we have
most people, the name of TV executive Brandon Thalberg Jr. merits no more than an unpublished 3-word footnote in the annals of American situation comedy. Yet it was Brandon who some years ago sought to break new ground when he commissioned the series Heil, Honey, I'm Home under the billing not so much a sitcom, more a hitcom. Unfortunately, neither Brandon nor the series were ever heard of again until now. A chance discovery in a Burbank backlot has revealed the lost tapes of
Now, so do you know any of these other actors?
No, I never heard of any of these.
And I think it's curious because, as you know, in the BBC, they don't have 22 episode contracts. They basically just do as much as they think the people will want, and then they just stop eventually, like in Fawlty Towers, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. You think there's a live audience?
Probably. There he is, here, sitting there. Probably in front of an audience, yeah. Although it seems a little too canned.
Heil, honey, me.
What did I do now? Oh, tonight you were making schnitzel. What a joke. You must be real mad at me, honey. I'm a very, very bad Hitler.
That's canned.
Touch me.
Yeah, it does
You've
seem
been going for
sweetened.
your dinner every night this
Seems
week.
like they've added some laughter.
I mean, it is 1990, right?
But this looks 70s.
Well, I mean, it's the London, like 10 years behind the times, right?
The sound sounds. The laugh track seems 70s.
Who's Klaus Katzenjammer?
He's my tailor. You should see the tux, honey.
You see, everyone's more important than Ava. Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Schickelgruber. You may be big stuff in Germany, but I knew you when you were just a house painter.
Boy, this is going to be some night. Come on.
I really like the decor of the Hitlers. Look at nice background.
They have a nice kitchen.
Tell me like that, Adolf
Doesn't look
Hitler.
like a bunker at all.
Want to know a secret? Tomorrow, I got Neville Chamberlain coming over here.
You've got the Prime Minister of England coming over here to the apartment tomorrow, and you don't tell me so I can get something
I
out of
mean,
the icebox?
It's
Honey, if you're going to get on my back about everything, I'm not going to...
it's a proper sort of
You don't need to tell me why.
comedy. It's a proper sitcom structure.
It's Czechoslovakia. You finally did it, didn't you? You finally went one step too far, Mr. Big Shot. Well, don't say I didn't warn you.
Okay, Ava, you were right. I was wrong.
I mean,
I'll show him around the town. We'll have a few
Well,
beers.
the question is like,
It's a parody of a parody of a parody of a. They don't seem to actually be looking for laughs as much as parodying sitcoms.
do you think it is, or do you think that they're just like saying,
We used to call each other when we first started.
do you think they're trying to parody sitcoms?
That's what it seems like. Because this is already 1990. This isn't 1974, 1967. This is a parody of those 70s sitcoms.
Like my boss is coming home from work, you know, I need to get the roast ready.
The
Like,
roast is
it's,
right.
it's a classic
I
episode.
burnt the roast.
I think that maybe they were just trying to look for like an easy script. Do you think?
No, why not go for the real laughs if you really want it to work?
I snuck by the apartment every
It makes me think that maybe the other 14 don't exist and they've made up the whole thing, and this whole thing is a scam.
When I finally get to invade Poland, who'll be the first to know? The Poles?
No.
Rosa Goldenstein.
You think they did 16 of these? Where would it go?
How do you like that? Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like you just the standard things, you know.
Other people get the fluff.
There's a bunch of standard comedy things that you can do.
I get the Hitlers hollering and shouting.
Arnie Goldenstein, you are a slob. Whatever happened to the glamour? Where did our romance go?
But I like how they have like Goyish Jewish neighbors. Like they weren't able to.
They
Like
didn't
they,
get any real Jews in.
yeah, they weren't willing to go the extra step and make them like actual sort of like Orthodox, which would have been Even more offensive.
About me. Leave the bird out of this. Say, what's going on here?
It's like modern ethnic Jews.
Fresh coffee? What did you buy, Rosa? Huh? New dress? No. Don't tell me.
See, this is 50s stuff where she would have spent money in a new dress.
Mother's coming?
Are you saying the style is also sort of like, well, I mean, you're sleeping in the same bed, I guess that's
Yeah, that already puts it in the 90s, but still, it's like they chose to parody sitcoms as well as, that's where the hat on a hat is. They're parodying sitcoms and they put Hitler in it instead of one or the other.
Yeah, well, that's your question. Is like, do you think this thing would have worked if it didn't have Hitler?
No, absolutely not. Then it's just a parody of sitcoms, and it's it's a sketch, not a series.
Maybe if you swap out Hitler and put somebody else.
I think it should be the other way. It should only be Hitler and not parodying sitcoms. Do a real sitcom with Hitler. Make the jokes actually funny.
I mean, would you do so I guess a part of it is that the traditional sitcom, you can have two models. You can have one person's a straight man, everybody else is wacky, or one person's wacky and everybody else is a straight man. So I think that the Hitler one, I think you could go either.
But I think both isn't working. Why do a parody of a sitcom with Hitler? Do one or the other. But a parody of a sitcom wouldn't last. Parodies last for a sketch. They don't last for 13 episodes or 7 years.
Do you think that maybe it's because they had sort of wet feet and they were like, we have to make sure that this is clearly a joke?
Maybe that's the only explanation for this.
And that it might have been funnier, but then they shopped it because they're like, it's Hitler. Like, we gotta make sure it's just over the top.
It would be funnier if it was shocking only.
Because
No, not really.
I think that this, and here's the inadequate girl that can't meet the boys, and
the bossy wives, the silly husbands.
Gosh, she's a low laughs. Tell me about it. Say, Ava, did Arnie and I disturb you last night? No, honey. No, I thought not. We never disturb no one no more. We're so dull, even the bird complains we get him down. Imagine that, a neurotic canary. Honey, so do you think just about the most important person in
do you think that the executions are fine? I mean, do you think the acting is? I think that
the acting is on target for what they've done, for what the concept of the show is. But I think it would be funnier if we were going, oh shit, I can't believe they did that, than just a straight-on parody of a sitcom.
But do you think that might be lost in time because maybe? Do you think that it was maybe like this is pre-internet?
Pre-internet, but
so what I'm saying is that the internet has moved our collective notion of shock so far further than it was.
It seems pre-Saturday Night Live. Now I'm talking about when Saturday Night Live was funny. In the late 70s, early 80s when they did cutting edge comedy. And it seems pre that. So it didn't even experience that movement forward.
So you're saying it's
Bison? No, water buffalo?
yeah, it's very I Love Lucy era.
But it's the worst of that era. It's the Joey Bishop show. It's not the good comedies. It's the lame sitcoms. It's a Paul Lynde show. It's Too Close for Comfort.
Right.
Those kind of shows.
The Paul Lynde show.
Where he plays the husband and wife and
yeah. But Paul Lynde playing a straight guy was just too unbelievable.
That's
for
what
me.
this is.
Yeah.
This is
So there's some funny sort of Nazi references here, but they're lost.
They're lost because they're doing it within a parody of a sitcom, within a bad sitcom, instead of just playing it straight.
just have a girl for him.
They're certainly like pretty. Oh, I'm sad we don't get commercials.
It's just got oh, must be someone more excited to be with than Hitler.
If there is, I sure am looking at him in this corridor.
So, tell me again, who's this big shot that's going around there?
His name is Neville Chamberlain. The British Prime Minister.
That was good.
You should get to meet him.
What?
You want Ruth should find a nice man so she don't need to stay with us?
No, I want Ruth should drop dead so she won't need to stay.
See, that's a joke from the 60s. It's not a...
Okay.
Kind of. I mean, it's also Married with Children.
But Married with Children, they still managed to make it shocking. This is lame. But,
Yeah.
but they've chosen to be lame.
Always talking about how
This is also... Married with Children predates this, so this is post-Married with Children.
I mean,
And it's still not that.
no, but it's not Married with Children in their stride, which was like season 3.
Yeah. Well,
So-
Married with Children started in 87.
Something like that.
Yeah,
but it
this
was
is 90.
but it was weeks off for the first 2 years.
Yeah.
Until they got
Year and a half, yeah.
the character development.
Is he yet? Oh, yeah. And he always acted the clown, honey.
we baked him some Chelsea buns to make him feel at home.
Yeah, and here. A pot of long gray teeth. Earl
So it's not necessarily that
Lord Earl
the concept is bad. It's just that
You seen them all, eh, Shorty?
They didn't just do the concept.
you could do it again. There's opportunity here.
I said, don't tell her. But still, Miss Big Mouth told her. Adolf, I swear I never told her. She knew we got company. She saw me preparing the food. But I did not tell her who.
Sure.
Sure. Okay. That's good. They don't know.
So like I guess this is it
So, Adolf, when's he due?
Who, Rosa?
You know.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
You don't know Neville Chamberlain is coming here to Germany? Not tell her, did I, Rosa? No. I just figured it out. Spontaneously.
You just figured out that Neville Chamberlain was coming.
It's staged like a 70s sitcom.
yeah
When you figured it out, huh?
yeah it is.
Staged like the Ted Knight Show or any of those, the
What-
lamest of the lame ones.
I mean, what was the one with the psychologist?
Bob Newhart?
Bob Newhart.
Oh, no, Bob Newhart was funny.
The
That was a good show.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a part of it is that, you know, since I wasn't alive in the 70s,
This
I
is
only
staged
got,
This
got
is
to,
staged like Laverne and Shirley.
yeah. They didn't really syndicate the bad shows again.
Yeah.
So,
This is what we do.
they just got thrown in the memory hole.
Steam's tipsy, so they fall asleep. Then we can bundle them back to their apartment. What could be simpler?
The dumb you thought of it.
Yeah. We go in there and we punch their heads together.
Okay, we do it your way.
You know what would probably be better is if they made it like really macabre.
Yeah,
Like they were trying to like murder.
yeah, they were planning on murdering someone.
Yeah, but you know, in this thing, they're getting on quite well with their Jewish neighbors. Like they don't seem to mind them that much.
Hey, easy there, Bob. You want to get me rolling? So anyway,
Certainly enough breaks.
saying the wholesale nut distributor, or was it the whole nut sale distributor?
More schnapps, honey?
Oh, what the heck? Fill her up, Blondie. I'm on a roll.
All right, Hitler here. No, Bob Hitler. Who do you think? Oh, it's you, Joe, yeah? Joe Goebbels.
Good lines.
Listen, could you speak up there, Joe? It's kind of hard to hear with Uber Alice playing in the background. What? Chamberlain caught an earlier flight, so you went out to the airport to meet him? Say again, Joe. I didn't quite catch that. You did what, Joe? Apparently wasn't too sure what the guy looked like, so he stood there with a large piece of cardboard with the guy's name written on it. Don't move, Joe. I'm coming right out there.
So I mean, and I guess that's part of the.
It's just the lame writing where he repeats everything for no real reason, but just so the audience would know, instead of figuring out how to tell this story naturally.
Well, yeah, well, that's a classic thing. Is that they?
But you wouldn't do it anymore. You wouldn't do it post '90s.
No. But I mean, a lot of times people do that for a budget because they didn't want to do the sets, they didn't want to do whatever it is.
No, I'm not saying go to the airport, but smoother dialogue wouldn't hurt.
Mm. So, but I guess a part of it is that I don't know what has changed from reality here.
It seems so. They've made the choice to go lame.
So, well, what I'm saying is that is Hitler still the Chancellor of Germany in this, or is he just?
Yeah, I don't know. Or is he gonna want to be? Why is he living in an apartment?
Yeah, like does he control the military? Like I don't know.
Neville Chamberlain is still the Prime Minister of England, so it's the 30s.
So yeah.
What do you call a polar bear with 3 balaclavas on?
Anything you like, because it can't hear you.
About that business with goofball doubles when you arrived at the airport.
Oh, forget it. You spelled my name wrong anyway. But he suddenly made up for it, though, with all those blonde chappies in their fancy dress uniforms.
Fancy dress?
For a moment, they almost had me believing it was for real.
They have him playing as Mr. Magoo.
Neville Chamberlain?
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't quite this smart.
Yeah. But
Hey, is this the limey?
Well, pleased to meet you, fella. Annie's friend, Shorty's is a friend of mine. Meet the line.
Enchanté.
Oh, they speak French in England. I didn't know that.
Hey, go ahead, Abby. Go for the big one.
Mr. Chamberlain, how about a pot of tea?
so like
I'm a little teapot.
it's
And they're playing everyone over the top.
so yeah. The thing about the drunk people embarrassing the hosts and stuff like that, like it's not really working.
Two drunken people in my living room will look very much like the Golden Skate.
Now, honey, listen, this could be your lucky break.
This is lucky. Out there with the Golden Skeins is lucky.
Honey, listen, think about it. What
Yeah,
could
the classic sort of plot here is the meet the parents one, right? And then you embarrass yourself in front of the spouse's parents or the girlfriend.
And Neville Chamberlain seems to be getting along with it fine.
They're getting on phones with other people, and not only that, but he hasn't really established himself as the Margaret Dumont from.
No, it's gone the other way. They've decided to make him Uncle Harry from Here's the Listen.
me, everybody? I just have to pop next door for a moment. Oh, Rosa, no, please don't do what I think you're gonna do. Honey, it'll be fine.
Do you think I could have a word with you in private?
Sure. Come on into the kitchen. So, what is it, buddy, huh?
Well, I'm just wondering if you could do me a favor.
What is it? A girl? You want me to
No,
fix her?
it's just that I feel, well, we all feel, that you have been rather a naughty boy. All this Czechoslovakia nonsense, eh?
Oh, come on, Neville. It was just having fun.
Well, yes, but I have got here a piece of here we are, yes. A document. Peace in our time.
Peace in our time.
You see, this guarantees that you won't be a naughty boy again.
So if I sign this, that guarantees I won't invade Europe.
Well, I mean, no need to sign it now. Just think about it. You know, no point in spoiling the party. No rush.
Sure.
I mean,
What do you say to a small drink?
there's something different about us as Americans watching this. This is initially for the British audience, and so it'd be like us making fun of FDR.
But they hated it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is that
Little country.
I wouldn't necessarily like.
I ain't gonna be signing this thing.
Even if it was like Herbert Hoover or Calvin Coolidge or somebody that people don't really care about.
Neville Chamberlain is despised in England.
I know what I'm saying. You take the worst president, and if the worst president was depicted like this, I think that Americans would find it offensive. You know, if it was, I don't know. Or even one that nobody even remembers, like William Henry Harrison or something, like Ulysses S. Grant. Like, they'd be like, no, you don't do that. Like,
Someone I want you to meet. Neville, this is my niece Ruth. Ruth, this is the British Prime Minister.
What is this? A super Goldenstein? What say I go scare up some munchies? Honey.
I ain't dating at the moment.
Oh dear. She's a little piece of bacon, didn't you?
I ain't dating on Thursday, and there's a picture at the Berlin Plaza, and you can pick me up at 7:30 if you like.
Really? You're a lovely little thing, aren't you?
You want to lock up my hair for your wallet?
Oh, well, that seems like a fair swap.
This guy's a scream!
Yes, you're mislaid my document. I better find it, or I shall look a bit of a ninny when I get back to number 10.
Hey, go chips and dicks for everybody.
I just...
I found this in your refrigerator. Is it
Well, this is unfocused, and what are they parodying? And
peas in our brine?
I don't think a parody of a 70s sitcom works at all. But I think a sitcom with Hitler might be edgy and funny. That's what they just should have done. It seems like they, as you said, were scared to just try it alone. And so they layered on something else.
Hello, old chap. You weren't trying to hide this, were you?
Me? You don't think I... Oh, come on. I mean, look at me. Look at my outfit. I'm just one of the guys. I'm a real fun guy.
They are parodying historical things in a very sort of novel way. Like, you know, the Peace in Our Time document, and Hitler not taking it seriously, and, you know, trying to play the British, like, you know, it was all being depicted.
But they haven't portrayed Hitler in any way that we recognize.
I think, yeah, I guess that's another part of it.
Other than the mustache.
Like,
It's the physical.
well, like, he was always surrounded by other people, right? Like, he was never alone like this.
And he's not ranting and speechifying.
Like, they expect skulls and guns, and it just doesn't happen.
Maybe you didn't notice.
It seems like you got your card marked right after all, Adolf. You really are off the wickets, aren't you? You're mad, that's what you are. You are raving. No, don't try and deny it. You are a very, very naughty little Hitler.
A naughty Hitler? Are you kidding? You put the knife in my heart. You realize that now? I invite you into my apartment. I let you drink my schnapps. I introduce you to my charming neighbors. This is how you repay me. So, would a naughty Hitler sign this piece of paper?
Well,
Pen, please. Now, am I a nice Führer or what?
All right. Let bygones be bygones. But remember, no more naughty little invasion plans.
You're kidding, Neville. From now on, I'm the sweetest Mr. Nice Guy you know.
Thank you. Yes. Well, I must be off now. Time for my dinner.
Neville, before you go, aperitif.
No, thanks. I've got a pair already.
I like how the girl's still there. Oh, she has a line, I'm sure.
Where would you like me to take you to?
Oh. He walks off with the girl. That's kind of funny. So, this would be a conclusion.
It might be a tag.
You're living with one slick fury here.
What?
There might be.
No, I mean that's
Yeah, that's a conclusion.
that's the conclusion of that's just how the stuff's structured, right? So
Yeah.
there's your 20
Oh,
minutes.
right. The frozen shot.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Little bit political there. Oh, sorry, I thought I was.
I think that probably part of it was that I don't know why it's still playing. Again, this is a very strange device, but it's okay. Let's just pretend like it's
It's only for a live audience in Pinewood Studios.
Oh. Okay, so I guess almost 1 million views, isn't that funny? Is that not only did it offend people, but it was not defensible art. So I guess that, like, if it was, let's say, of the quality of Monty Python, and people called up and saying offended, then BBC could do it. Well, no, we don't care. But
Yeah.
even something like this, they're like, well, it really wasn't that great.
It wasn't
This
offensive.
isn't downtown. Well, it wasn't offensive.
I think that's the problem. That's the
It wasn't
biggest issue.
downtown Abbey. You know,
Yeah.
this is it's pretty unremarkable television.
I think
And
if you're going to do this, it should be offensive.
I guess, I mean, part of it is that, again, if it was like 1990, we're only 45 years removed from World War II,
Yeah.
as opposed to now we're 75. So you had many, many more people that were alive as in living
Fought
memory.
in the war.
Oh, yeah. I mean, remember, if you were in your 60s, you might have been a World War II vet. So, or, you know, you remembered the time.
Yeah.
So you know, I can imagine that those people would call up and be offended. It's almost like if somebody did some kind of parody of 9/11 or something like that. I mean, I know it's 20.
But if you're going to
This
do
is 20 years ago.
if
but-
you're going to do a parody of 9/11, it should be offensive in order to be funny. If you don't cross the line, it's not going to work.
Right. So
Why
I
do it at
guess if you were to do it, you wouldn't have something like, you know, the Osamas, you know, living with like some kind of, I don't know,
And
some Christians.
next door neighbors
or some, you know, Christian Americans.
or Dick Cheney and his wife, and they
Right,
have no idea.
and they seem to get along just fine, and then have a little bit of tension.
And once again, the plot is the boss is coming over for dinner, and I burnt the roast, which is already, even in 1990, which was kind of a premise from the 50s. So it was parodying something 40 years ago, and then kind of presenting itself as if it was outrageous without actually being outrageous.
Did you do you remember when The Simpsons parodied that?
Which one?
The burnt the roast one?
Oh, I'm sure I saw it.
Yeah, I mean, so let's see if I can pull it up here. It was the one with Principal. So it's the Principal. What's the guy's name in The Simpsons?
Principal
Skinner. Principal Skinner.
And he was coming over for dinner, and they burnt the roast.
Yeah, but which is, again, you know, yes, something that everybody's seen, but okay, hopefully this is all of it. We'll see if this is. You never know with the internet,
Steamed hams.
but I think they did it right.
Seymour, I made it, despite your directions. Ah, Superintendent Chalmers, welcome.
It's an early Simpsons film, you can tell by the animation.
It's the same structure, right? Like the roast actually burnt, boss is over, finds a substitute.
I would have purchased fast food and disguised it as my own cooking.
But they're doing one thing here. They're parodying this.
But hold on. Now it becomes real, right? Like it's very clear. Like they put the music in there. They put this thing like here.
Superintendent, I was just
Like that's the correct way to do this parody.
Care to join me?
Why is there smoke coming out of your oven, Seymour?
Oh, that isn't smoke.
classic scene right here.
You know, these hamburgers are quite similar to the ones they have at Krusty Burger. Oh, no. That did get a
The interesting thing about these early Simpsons episodes is that, like, I don't really think there's any characters. I think that there's just
obviously grilled.
everybody is
You know,
everybody's the same character.
one thing excuse me for 1 second. Of course.
Smithers isn't unique from Chalmers
Wonderful. Good time was had by all. I'm pooped.
or anything else.
Yes, I should be.
It's the same sort of style.
What's happening in there? Aurora Borealis? Aurora Borealis. At this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your kitchen. Yes. That's it? No.
Seymour! The house is on fire!
No, Mother, it's just the Northern Lights. Well, Seymour, you are an odd fellow, but I must say, you seem a good ham.
I think that scenes like that will be a well known for
Well, they pulled it off, but
Yeah.
Heil Hitler, I'm Home did not.
yeah. I mean, not only that, I think that like when The Simpsons did stuff like that in seasons maybe 3 through 6 or so, I think
Yeah.
it was the golden era. I think those will go down in the same way that like
This also may have predated Heil, Honey, I'm Home. The Simpsons started in 87, 86
yes,
maybe.
no, I think it was like 89. But yeah, it does. There's ways to do it that can become as sort of well known as, let's say, the chocolate scene of I Love Lucy,
Yeah,
which is just a parody of
kind of an iconic.
yeah, the
Modern Times.
right, the Modern Times thing with
Yeah.
with Chaplin. So so that was just a knockoff, but the How Honey just did not work. So you think there's space to sort of like to maybe redo that in another sort of
But one or the other, but not. I mean, it shouldn't be a parody of a sitcom. No one, there's no audience for that.
Uh-huh.
But to do an outrageous sitcom, sure. I think there's an audience for that.
with Hitler as the center.
Maybe.
But what do you do a honeymoon structure?
Not necessarily. That's what takes it into parody.
Mm.
The wacky neighbors and the honey I burnt the roast. And I think you'd do it, as an office, maybe an office comedy.
Oh, interesting. So, would you have a timeline?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, there's timeline and timeline free. So, like, Simpsons is timeline free.
Yeah, I think it would be timeline free. I think it would be like Hogan's Heroes, vaguely during the World War, but who knows if it's towards the beginning or towards the end. It couldn't be too far in the end. He should be, probably right about the time he started to lose the war to give it a little more conflict.
Well, yeah. That's the other question, that you have to have some type of conflict.
Yeah. So it shouldn't be during the time he's winning the war. It should be during the time he's losing the war and threatening to send everyone to the Russian front.
Or maybe it should be at a time when he still believes he's winning the war, but all the generals know that
And
it's
they're
a
keeping
lost
it from
cause. And they're trying to explain it to him gently, but he just will not take it.
They're keeping it from him so they don't get shot. But then it really is Hogan's Heroes.
Well, Hogan's Heroes worked though, and just because what I like to say is just because there's one scene ever shot doesn't mean the second one can't exist. And if you were to do something as sort of iconic and as well done as Hogan's Heroes and go right for the jugular and actually put Hitler in it, I think that it would be fine. But I think that the other thing is that there's not a lot of space for this type of comedy these days.
No,
it's
YouTube.
It's like Council of Dads and stuff. It's not even funny. I think that sitcom where you actually have comedy is like I've watched Modern Family. Like it's the same guy.
It's
Well,
funny,
it is,
yeah.
but it's Ed O'Neill's. You have Al Bundy on there, And there's
It's funny, but I don't think you could start it now. It only works because it started whatever it was 7-10 years ago. Whatever.
there's as many jokes in two episodes as there was in 3 minutes of Married with Children.
Married with Children was a different. People didn't invest in the characters in the same way that people invested in the real part of the characters in Modern Family.
I think that the real thing that sort of inks the deal for Married with Children's analysis with me is the fact that after it, none of those actors went on to do anything funny again.
Married with Children?
Not really.
Ed O'Neill, but
But not really.
He did a reboot of Dragnet first.
Yeah,
and
that's terrible.
everything Katie Seagal's doing has been very serious, except now she's got an arc on the Connors, which used to be Roseanne. But everything else she did, Something of Anarchy, what's that show called?
Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy, she did serious stuff. Christina Applegate did a sitcom, Jessie, I think she did. That was a very straight-on sitcom, though.
But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, like, if you took, let's say, I don't know, George Burns and Gracie Allen, and then you put them somewhere else, they would probably still be funny because they're genuinely funny people.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that you have these people that were sort of average run-of-the-mill actors, but then you put a very well-structured show with very good character definition, very good dynamics in there, and you get a hit show.
And
they
not
own
their characters.
Well, not only that, but as we've seen before, is that Married with Children's been translated to like 11 different languages, and they have, there's like a Chilean version, a British versions, and some of them went on for multiple seasons.
Yeah.
They just translate the script over and put it on there, and it works. And so it's, I guess that, a really good show is something where you have the really good character dynamics, where you have a really good actors that back it up, and then I think that they all have their time to go. Like Get Smart, right?
Yeah, one season too long.
Yeah, and they have like triplets or something, or kids, it's the notion of jumping the shark. It's a real thing, Happy Days was not a bad show
In the first 15 years, but the last 22 were horrible.
What, did it go on that long?
I don't know. It seemed like forever.
Yeah. Well, other shows they seem to take a few seasons to really pick up.
Yeah. Sometimes.
I guess that's it. So yeah, we decided to go no guess, and I guess thank you for watching. All right.
What did you end up casting it to? Was it Scepter or Visitor?
I think it was.
Scepter?
Let's see. Yeah, Scepter. And